Might help if I put on my glasses.
All right, and we're live.
Yeah, that was good, wasn't it? Sorry.
I can cut that out of the thing, or else it'll just like mute your voice the whole for the whole audio track. It's like Chris is talking, but it seems
30 seconds of silence, and I just
all right.
consumed enough caffeine yet.
So we got to do this quick before the fire catches all the board games alight.
Quite toasty over here.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Yeah. Let me see. I'll just turn the chat off for a second. Yeah, we have a roaring fire sitting between us.
I don't recommend putting an open log fire so close to the monitors.
No, yeah, it's not good. There could be some
I feel like we're in like
issues.
Like one of those cheap DVDs of Christmas songs.
Right. Yes. Holiday memories. All right. So we had our first very learning game of Blackout.
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
And learning game it was.
Yes. but fun. Yeah, I think I got a few free shots, a few free fatalities at the beginning there. Because we weren't reacting well to each other's and I like that. That it's very limited. Your reactions are very limited, but if you've not activated anything, you have a lot of options. There's a lot you can do.
Like I said, so in addition to losing a few models, I think because I didn't understand how reactions worked, as you said, so free shots. I think there were a couple times where you should have rolled more dice when you were taking a shot at my units towards the second half of the game.
Oh, right.
Because once I found those the cover rules.
Yes.
It's like, okay, if the model is completely like unobstructed, it's 3 dice.
Mm-hmm.
If it's half obstructed, it's 2.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like more than half obstructed and within an inch of the blocking terrain, it's 1.
It's 1 die.
Right? So I think there were a couple times where you're rolling 2 or 1 die where you probably should have rolled 3.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, it was a learning game, and like I said, like those hard lessons stick a lot better. Like
right.
No way in hell am I going to forget. No, I'm going to react.
Right.
Yeah.
And things kind of click too, like how the system was intended. And I think it takes a while. It takes a few rounds. Like, oh, okay, wait, these are my options. Yeah. Because but it's great. I really I like the fact that we were taking shots on the first turn. That's nice. I mean, yeah.
Unintended, because I didn't see that line of fire underneath the bridge. I'm like, oh crap! All right.
But that's nice because a lot of like Infinity, especially, you're just positioning.
Right.
It has to be a huge error for you to get a shot. You'd be anywhere near the other person for that. And I guess though, every one of our weapons was 24 inches, and we're playing on a 24-inch square. So it's pretty.
I guess a couple things. Yeah, 2x2 is tight, and they say you're going to probably be shooting at each other from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Like, so I would like to see what like 3x3 plays. Like, not suggesting moving to that yet. And a couple things like that's why I got it right. It plays on that small footprint. It's not a lot of positioning, and I mean maybe when we're better tactically, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Then the other mistake I made. Okay, everybody in the unit has the weapon that's on the front of the card.
Oh yeah.
So there were a couple times when my grenadier was like, well, Manticore has that great blast armor rule, and I could have said, okay, so she puts it away and she shoots at you with a rifle, because I thought that was only what the grunts have.
I see.
No, everybody has that.
Yeah, so specialists can move between. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing again. Because now that we have a better understanding of the rules, like I'll be able to play hopefully a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've got some Infinity models I think I can proxy, so that might be fun to try, because I like the rules. The miniatures are very just military, like standard military looking for a couple of the factions, but I like the rules a lot. They have some interesting synergy, so I'd like to try a couple of the different rule sets just using proxy before I kind of invest in a force.
Because it's about twice as expensive while we're shipping over here.
Right, right. But yeah, but it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that, and yeah, look forward to. And it seems like we can set it up pretty quick. We can play. Once we've got all the rules kind of in our heads, we can play pretty fast. So
that game took about 2 hours ish.
Yes.
So yeah, you could probably get it down to like 1, even like. I think something's gone wrong. He played in half an hour.
Right? Yeah, something went terribly
wrong, right? But anyway,
right. Yeah, so it should be fun. And I did open the Apex Legends board game, hoping that there would be some great stuff we could use. The terrain wasn't as good as I thought. They kind of they cheaped out, so it's not two corrugated sleeves kind of going into each other. It's one very thin cardstock on the outside and then a thicker one in the middle, so it's pretty heavy, and there's also a lot of Apex Legends signage and stuff on it. So a few of the buildings will work, and they probably work scale wise with Infinity terrain, so I'll have some stuff we can try to put together for a kind of crazy colorful board. The corners should be okay for determining they're a little round, but for determining our boundaries, so we can use those as scale. The board though is 2x2 in Apex, so that should be good because it's kind of a scrubby desert kind of look, so we can use that I think for our next match.
That would be cool.
Yeah, to get a real hard boundaries. So yeah, we'll play around and see what we can do. But yeah, they did a really nice job. The production level is really nice, and everything goes back in the box. They the way that it comes, and after you pop out all the tokens and stuff, sometimes games just don't do that, and they literally had a little kind of breakout of each layer. Here's where the tokens go. Here's where this goes. Once you popped everything out, and it worked perfectly. Yeah, it worked really well.
Because things either don't go back in the box, or they go back in the box if you just like dump everything in the bottom, and then you gotta spend like an hour sorting tokens out towards the beginning, right? So yeah, I appreciate games that give you either a breakdown of here's how to put things back in the box, or here's this kind of like insert with notes about what goes where. Right?
Yeah, and it's pretty complicated. Like there's a couple of things that you just have to do in certain places.
Oh, really? Okay.
And because you've got both a tray and then a clear lid, and then there's also pockets and things in the lid for tokens to go. So it's well done. They did a good job. So yeah, they're and the next thing that they're doing, their next project is Diablo. So I don't know how that's going to go. So we'll see. They're going to do an RPG and a board game. So
if they're okay, I guess most big RPGs want miniatures. Right? So if you've got the miniatures and you've got the I would say a fairly light combat system, then why not?
I hope they have the freedom to do, because the more recent Diablo games are not great. The character designs and stuff are just very mediocre. So I hope they can go back a little bit, or kind of come up, with a happy medium in the era that they're playing. If it's like maybe more Diablo 2 or something, that might be a little nicer. We'll see.
Diablo was kind of a role-playing game.
Yeah, like right. It's actually kind of action RPG, guys, because kind of just slashing and looting, which will be interesting to see how they handle that, because they have to do drops in Apex. They have to do drops, and so they give you 3 bags, a common, a rare, and a super special that you're pulling tokens from to see randomly what upgrades you get. So yeah, that worked pretty well, because I was like, oh, is it just going to be a deck of cards? But no, you actually are like reaching for tokens, and then you slot them onto your dashboard.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
I could see Diablo doing something similar. I was thinking cards.
Right. Yeah. We'll see how they handle that. They also did Don't Starve recently, with acrylic, like kind of flat acrylic or 3D miniatures. But I think the flat acrylic fits the style of the game much better. Yeah, because it's a 2D kind of, that 2.5D kind of game. All right, so good to see everybody in the chat.
Hi, chat.
Matt and Calerion, very cool. Yeah, I checked. Yeah, things seem to be okay with our and maybe YouTube themselves have changed kind of some of the emojis
demonetize
and stuff.
Our stuff.
Yeah, not yet.
Commercials every 5 seconds.
All right. Yeah, so hopefully we can get back to some Blackout sometime soon. That was good fun. All right, let's get started for this week. Welcome to the Weekly. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Chris.
And this week on the Weekly, Crows by MCDM. Matt Colville's got another game.
Okay.
Undergoblin Heist. Magic Secret Lair, a really weird I don't know what they're doing. Social experiment, maybe.
All right.
And a little bit of fun at the end. Orcs and Crafts zine, part of a zine campaign.
When you say it that, I've seen it written out. When you say it that way, it sounds a bit funny. Orcs and Crafts. Okay.
Orcs and Crafts. Yeah, and it's a cute idea. I liked it. It was very charming, especially the write up on the backer kit page. So let's start with something that's probably going to raise millions of dollars.
Yep.
Crows was officially announced by MCDM. So MCDM Productions, that's Matt Colville's company, has officially announced Crows, a new dungeon crawling RPG, which is led by James Introcaso and with the art direction by Nick Despain. And it's described as staring death in the face and grabbing as much loot from the dungeon before your luck runs out. That's kind of the gameplay. Using D6s, D10s, health system similar to Knave, where your inventory slots double as your your health tracker. Okay. So
the more you carry,
you have to drop stuff. Like you lose a thing and you're dropping some treasure because you're injured. So it's going to share some of the mechanics with Draw Steel with some variation. They're going to do the power roll. Higher results giving you can be attained with good planning, so maybe a little bit more strategic. Okay. Players can use any equipment, but some characters will be more attuned to certain kinds. There will also be, and I'm curious what you think about this, base building components to the game. So you got something to do with that loot, and I don't know, maybe it gives you some benefit or effect, during the resting when you're not dungeon delving.
Okay.
And there'll be a default campaign setting described as the archmages were eventually corrupted by magic, the magic that they wielded, and became necromancers who waged war on each other until they all disappeared. So that's the setting. A magic war, in the aftermath of a magic war. Oh. So yeah, I don't know. Base building now, I can only think of battle royale and looter shooters and stuff. Building bases. But I wonder if that's fleshed out well. And Matt Colville did a Dungeons and Dragons kind of strongholds and keeps and kind of mechanics. Yeah. Well, so maybe it's sharing that.
I don't know. What I was thinking is Frostgrave has base building. Right. In a sense, right? You choose your headquarters and then you can spend gold on upgrades, and that gives you some kind of effect in the game. You don't represent it on the table. It's just a quick choice at the end of each game if you want to. Mm-hmm. So it might be something like that. Yeah. I have a feeling it might be more involved.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. It might have statistical, and, based on how many retainers and, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I'll give you something to do with all that gold you're looting. Or the value of. All right, but if you want to crawl dungeons a different way, you can do it in the kind of an Underdark is what it's looking like. A little bit humorous, but Undergoblin Heist by Hit Point Press. I think we've talked about a few of their games before. I recognized a bunch of the titles. They kickstarted this kind of fun little adventure. And the interesting thing is it's for D&D 5e to 2024 revision, whatever, right. But also Dungeon Crawl Classics. So they give you stats for DCC and D&D, which is a good idea because I think the tone of this doesn't probably fit 5e all that great. So there's a Kickstarted last year was a hardcover book, adventure book, and 6 miniatures. And the funny thing is they went with purple plastic for the goblin miniatures, which is a look. Okay. Yeah, they're under goblins though, so maybe they something, no UV. But you play the Grotty Jacknives, a group of expert sneak-goblins, and your boss Soot has tasked you to steal 3 magical artifacts from the horrible topsider cabbage goblins, who are probably green. That's why. So there are 6 pre-generated characters, rules for the species, a new background, and then for Dungeon Crawl Classics, you get 6 pre-generated characters, a new class, a new spell, Pest Shape is the spell, and then, of course, a Goblin Critical Role table, which DCC always needs, and then also Goblin-inspired recipes and a D100 Goblin Trinket table. Okay. Because you need trinkets in DCC. So so it's described as a wild sandbox adventure, and it's just a simple sneak raid to the Cabbage Goblin village. But and it has the look, the look of it is kind of Adventure Time. It's got that simplistic kind of flat, kind of cutie fantasy style. So Thom Denick of Tournament of Pigs wrote the adventure, and B Ho, who is the designer and did Adventurous Tarot, Empress Deck, and Eldritch Overload. And yeah, definitely it was more reminiscent of that kind of Adventure Time look. Okay. So I was hoping the goblins would be a little cruddier and weirder looking, but they're pretty sweet. They got pretty sweet faces.
Well, it's all the better so when you get to like murder those cabbage goblins, right?
Right. Yeah, but I was happy to see that they went with DCC as well. I think the problem is, though, it's in the same book, so I don't know if they break the book up in half or they just have kind of dual stats for everything.
Well, I don't know. Sure, putting them together guarantees people are going to buy your book, right? Rather than splitting them apart and having one sell much better than the other or whatever. But I mean, is any kind of dungeon crawling adventure game? Okay. As soon as I started saying it, I was just like I'm sure they're similar enough where you could put the stats.
Yeah, it would help because it's just it should be pretty easy to have them both. And you're right, like the expensive printing, and I think Goodman Games figured that out very early. If they're doing 5e and DCC separate stuff for crowdfunders, it's not easy to balance that kind of publishing.
Plus, even though there were like new classes and new spells and new kind of like backgrounds and stuff in this, like there are ways you can write adventures. Sorry, right, like kind of a system agnostic.
Yeah, right.
Maybe not completely, but like at least to the point where like adventures don't need to be as specific as things like not all the time. I'm talking about generals here, right? Like player stuff would probably need to be more specific to the game. Right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I'll put links to those. It runs you about $28.99 each for the book, and then the set of miniatures if you want to do the whole thing. And there's also some extra I think digital support for what they did, stuff that was unlocked in the crowdfunder. But it looked funny and cute, and it was one of the few new releases this week. It's getting pretty grim. All right, so this is a new release. Yeah, speaking of grim as hell, this is bizarre. I think Hasbro, or at least Wizards of the Coast, is just out of control with how they're trying to fuck with your head.
Well, I mean, shareholders were suing them, right?
Yeah. So here we go. More shenanigans with Magic. And this could get shareholders suing them again. They got a whole new lawsuit coming. So the newest Secret Lair from Magic the Gathering seems like a social experiment. This was on Wargamer, I believe. Okay. Yeah, the latest Secret Lair drop features 4 cards sold at different price points. So the sets of 4 cards sold at different price points. So on February 2nd, Wizards of the Coast released Magic the Gathering Secret Lairs, and it's got such a cute name. They're calling it Prince Charming, Prints.
Okay.
Charming.
Okay.
So rather than a fixed price point, because who wants that, they released the exact same set at multiple price points. There's a foil version and then a plain version, and there are 2 levels, two price points for each. So for the regular one, I think it's $20 and $30. For the foil, it's $40 and $50.
Okay, so Prince Charming. There's 4 products.
No, it's 1 product. Or two products. 2 products. A foil and non-foil set of 4 cards. And each of them has 2 different prices.
I'm trying to understand here. The set itself just has 4 cards.
4 cards.
A total of 4 cards.
I think so. Yeah, the green Magic cards, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and the thing about the cards that's really weird is that they just let the designers go crazy. So there's no box for art, box for text. It's just like a Morkborg style. So the text of the card is like floating around the middle, and it's like, okay, how many mana? And it's really hard. And it's kind of very, very kind of zine, artsy fartsy looking designs. For Magic cards, it's very uncharacteristic. Okay. So they're very unusual. They'd be very noticeable in a deck. And the interesting thing is. So I guess it's 3. It's actually 3 price points for each set because it's I believe. So it's $20, $30, and $35. And the strange thing that happened is the lowest and highest sold out immediately, leaving this middle price unsold. But it's the same product. And so what were they doing? Why did they do this? And is this just an experiment to see how attractive Secret Lair is? Like if people are willing to pay, because they're paying not quite double, but close to double for the exact same thing. And so this is part of their Chaos Vaults experiments, I guess. So the in the secondary market, the value of the card of one of the cards that was in Prince Charming was about $2.70, but it now goes for $35 because of these weird shenanigans. And so they disappeared off the shelf kind of in more in ascending order, which was strange. So the $50 foil sold out first. Then the $29 the $30 folders, and then the middle tier just kind of stayed. So what is this? Are they hoping? So were people kind of confused and they thought, well, this costs more, so there must be some special bonus. There must be some signed card or hidden special
Possibly.
thing. And there wasn't. And they didn't advertise it, at all. They didn't mislead people, but they had two prices. So people paid more money for nothing just because they possibly suspected. Another theory is that maybe this is trying to screw with the automated bot buyers that are just, jumping in on stuff. So if they release the more expensive thing early, they all jump on that. Wizards just made more money. The players. The players can still have access to these cards. The scummy resellers have jumped on the higher price because maybe they thought that there was more value, but no one's really sure. Like what this or that. People would buy the more expensive set if they could, leaving the cheaper ones for the less fortunate player. It doesn't make any sense. Like what is the psychology that they're actually trying to tap into here?
So WotC or Hasbro has not specified.
Yeah, there's been no statement about what's going on. That people just notice, oh, these have three prices. Okay, well, we've got some different.
Were they
tiers.
advertising this in similar? Put it up in similar places?
I think so. I think everything was made available. Let me see. Yeah, so everything was just the exact.
I just wondering, like, if you went on like Amazon, like, and to look at the latest Secret Lair, they'd be like $40, 35, 30, 20, or whatever it was.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You could okay.
Yeah, and people didn't buy things. The middle price didn't sell out because people are like, I don't want the middle one. That must not be. I'll get the cheaper one, or I want the more expensive one. Yeah, you're getting the same thing. Yeah,
that's I don't know. That's my thought.
Yeah.
And again, not a business person, not a psychology person, but I'm like, people probably said, I'll get the cheapest one because I want it and spend the least amount of money. Or they said, there's got to be something special about the higher price.
Right.
So let's get that.
It must have been. But the thing is, with social media and stuff, people are going to immediately realize, no, this is the exact same thing. And yeah. So I wonder if it was, because there are people that, are basically making a living buying, reselling and buying cases of magic if they can get their hands on stuff, and busted up before earlier. So yeah, very mysterious, but Wizards continues to do strange stuff. And if this kind of stuff does bring up any sort of, there's any sort of weird false advertising or kind of they're being disingenuous to customers, that could make their shareholders unhappy again. So good luck with that.
Or they might just be like, you know what? Let's see if the whales buy this.
Right. But yeah, the bots bought them all up.
Like there are only 4 cards in that pack. 4 cards. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I mean, yeah, okay. Like you said, they were a bit like artsy fartsy and kind of like I guess the designers / illustrators could do whatever they want. And I've seen on social media some people who were tapped to do like alternate versions of cards or stuff like that. Or, there was one, I'm completely out of Magic and not getting anywhere close to it after this, right?
Right.
But there was the way back in the day, the time spiral.
Oh, yeah.
Block. And they did something that I thought was cool there, where the idea was throughout the entire timeline of Magic, cards are getting pulled through these vortexes. So even though they had switched over to the then modern card design, some of the cards were like the original style. Right? And I thought that was really cool. And then they actually had someone design an interpretation of what like future Magic cards would look like. Remember they had that like weird swoopy border, and I'm like, that was cool. What the fuck are you doing now? right?
Yeah.
Like, please go back. Not that I'm ever going to get to it again. Go back to doing stuff that was cool instead of being like You can buy the same thing for 5 different prices.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're just going to churn. Yeah, churn on whatever formula they figure out, they're just going to churn on that, and they're probably just playing around with seeing if they can eke out, because think about however many units that is for $20 more, and if they just all got bought up instantly by people that are just planning on trading it, that is a lot of extra revenue they wouldn't have had. So that would have gone to resellers, that would have just gone to the resellers.
If I don't know if it ever comes out that what they were doing was intentionally trying to screw over those automated buyers or whatever, or intentionally like lower the price of secondary market or something, then I could be a bit more on board with it, being like, okay, you're maybe have your customer's best interest at heart somewhere in there, right? But if they're just like, I don't think that's what they were doing, and I don't really feel like giving them the benefit of the doubt. Anyway.
Yes. Well, finally, let's talk about something fun that was part of Zinetopia 2026. So this came from an interesting source. So I think it's a Backer Kit is doing this. And so this is Orcs and Crafts, a zine for producing... it's all tutorials for doing fantasy terrain.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
So it's a step-by-step, very introductory friendly. This is done by Game Machinery, who has previously published the Defiant RPG. So if you know that, it kind of looks like a World of Darkness, but it's like demons and angels, fighting over you are demons that were supposed to destroy the world. You decided not to, you'd rather rule. And so it's like, people in slick suits at the top of, in penthouses, controlling the fates of mortals. So very slick, kind of very cool. I think they're a Polish publisher, and then they came out with this very fun, very very fun, and very old school. It really reminds me of the old Warhammer Fantasy How to Make Terrain spiral bound deal.
Like cardboard boxes and styrofoam toothpick cactuses.
Yeah, they go step by step on like how you get, but the stuff looks really good. Like the results they get are really good because it's like corrugated cardboard bones, and then like maybe texture pastes and paints and doing things. So they have a lot of like towers, and there's trees, and I think they got a lot of different contributors that are all interested in fantasy.
So it's like a collaborative effort. Right?
Yes. So it's not a game. They want to offer you something completely different this time. So we decided to share our passion for creating miniature worlds and show how easy it is to start making your own amazing projects. So this is interesting in the world of YouTube, because there's so many YouTuber channels that are all terrain. It's just like all tutorials about how to make terrain, how to make barbed wire out of twisting little thin gauge wire, and building all kinds of carving foam and doing all kinds of stuff. But this is actually an old school book, like step by step how to do it. So they're going to give you new techniques and tools, and it's all kind of cardboard foundation stuff. So very, very sturdy. 60-page physical book in A4 format, and they're also going to offer a PDF. So do you remember when you were a kid and creating stuff was just this amazing fun? How a few crude lines of your drawing could actually become a fully fledged house. A bunch of pillows could turn into an awesome fort. An old cardboard box could turn into a dollhouse. Join us and we'll show you how to reconnect with those feelings and make something that looks good enough for others not to question your hobby.
Yep. I mean, I like that tagline.
Yeah.
It's good enough for people not to question your hobby. Okay. Yeah, cool.
So breakdowns of every technique, from making wood planks to hills to stone walls. And a bunch of different people are contributing different techniques and facts, tips and techniques. The most accessible builds do not require any advanced tools or materials, so stuff that you would have access to, a pair of scissors, a hobby knife, things like that. You don't have to have a special foam cutting hot wires or vibrating blades or anything.
Oh, I still want one.
Yeah, right. So yes, and then they kind of term it in they kind of set it as these orcs are teaching you. So you have orc assistants that are teaching you. So it seems like the tone of it is pretty fun, as well as the text for all of this was good. So the first your first builds, so they're talking about your first builds won't be as crisp as a 16K super slick resin printer or as sophisticated as intricate MDF cutouts, but you will have full creative control over them. So they're not dissing this new technology, but it is fun to kind of do it yourself. So all of the projects are clearly inspired by fantasy, made for fantasy games, but they are including some terrain projects as well that would work in a 41st millennium of some situation that we can't mention the actual legal term of.
Okay.
But that there is going to be some sci-fi projects as well, some stuff that would work with certain miniatures in other games. There's digital add-on packs that will give you and that's where the grimdark terrain is going to be in a digital add-on pack, not published in the actual book, probably to keep them from getting stopped for the publication. So they'll have and if you go with the highest tier, which I don't have the price point in front of me, but their highest tier, they will make a special handmade cover for everybody. So everybody will have a different version of the book. It's probably quite expensive, but it'll be your own cardboard hand-painted cover, and each copy will be unique for the special backers.
So they're just going to wrap it in cardboard and paint
the most generous backers, yes, of this edition of the zine. So they cover planning and design, technique breakdowns, building instructions, and also movie recommendations. Wait, what? So Martin has decided to put his useless knowledge of unique and obscure movies of the 60s, 70s, and 80s to recommend that are best to watch while you're using this zine. So okay. They get a sense of humor. Yeah. So simple cardboard trees, ruined gnomish distilleries, and a whole team of contributors for this book. And it's presented really well. It looks really fun. And it was just a nice thing to see that people are actually not so serious and not so having a little bit of fun and giving you some ideas for, you can just take some of the techniques and elaborate on, well, I don't want to build a tower. I want to build a keep or barricades or whatever, and using the same sort of techniques to do that. And so everything's presented really well, and the final products look really good. And it's really funny.
Final products may vary.
Final products may vary on your skill level. But it's really funny to see this coming from the Defiant people. That's a fun setting, a fun book that has that kind of World of Darkness tone without all of the universal monsters. But it's funny to see them do something very playful, because the Defiant books are very cool, very clean and cool, in tone. So they got a little goofy for us. So I'll put a link to that as well if you want to at least take a look at that.
I'm gonna have to go look at that, because I haven't been doing the same thing, but I might have to steal a page from that.
Yeah, right.
Because I've been doing scattered terrain builds for Blackout, because I have all this stuff at home in terms of cardstock and foam board, and I'm like, it hasn't been a video or a reel or anything, but I've been taking step-by-step photos of, okay, let's build a sci-fi palette, let's build a cargo shipping container, let's build this. And so
nice.
I'm wondering, maybe I should make a zine too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cool. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially if it was specifically for a scale or even for a game. Here's stuff that will work perfectly with Blackout or work perfectly with.
I've been trying to. I suppose it's not. I did go and look. I found an online scale converter, and I did go and figure out. Okay, well, if the actual dimensions of one of those 20-foot long shipping containers is this, in 1/48th scale, it would be this. And then since I wasn't going to cut 49.3725 millimeters, right? I just rounded everything up to the nearest whole number, right? And I said, okay, it's 1/48th-ish scale.
Right? Nice. Yeah, that was the thing when I was looking to proxy the Infinity miniatures. They're all supposed to be, I think they slide between 28 and 32, because the early miniatures are really tiny. You're supposed to be shooting at a 32 millimeter silhouette. So the tool you use to see if you can hit something is a 32, but some of because they're done in real scale, not kind of heroic proportions, and so some of them are a little tiny. So somebody posted an original sculpt and then the new sculpt, and it's dad and son, they were that different in scale. But but I think these will work well. So I've got some Ariadna that I'm gonna try to proxy as a boon boon force. Yeah.
Cool. Now, speaking of silhouettes, there was a discussion / argument on the Blackout Discord. But you want some kind of tool to be able to see if you can hit, but why not just go with the old War Machine thing? The old War Machine was base sizes take up a certain amount of volume, which includes height. So irregardless of what's on the base, if it's a 30 millimeter, it's this high, 40, which I think is a kind of an easier solution.
Yeah, just a cylinder. Yeah. Infinity though is like so precise. Like if you've got a shoulder sticking out, you can shoot at it. You know, so it's like they want you to do that. They want you to do that silhouette. So I can see the very edge of that, and that's at least like 10% or whatever. So I'm gonna take a shot.
Seems like I don't know. I think you have to go that specific if you're gearing more towards a tournament game.
Oh yeah,
and
right,
I don't know if Infinity is going tournament, but like a board game, you want rules that are so precise and clear that you avoid the traditional argument phase.
Yeah, right.
You're like, both people got to be like, yep, okay, agree.
Yeah, and I think the Infinity rule set, much more than other rule sets, do that. There's very little rules lawyering and stuff, that they really are clear about the timing of things, how things work, and how you resolve stuff. Much better than some other games that are constantly changing their rule sets.
I mean, there is something to be said about other games where we're focusing mainly on a rule set that you can play at a club or home or whatever with someone you enjoy spending time with, right? So if there's a rules discrepancy, work it out with your opponent. Or if you can't, roll a die, right? But that's not a tournament game. A tournament game's got to be there is no ambiguity about anything going on here.
Well, and it's nice when companies making their rule sets for free, so all the updates are going to be free. Everyone's able to read the same stuff. You don't have to buy the $70 book to know the special. Yeah. That's what like monetizing rules into this like weird treadmill of, well, you don't have this expansion, so you can't play that rule. You have to have that book.
Or even worse, like you don't have that expansion. I do. Therefore, you don't know how that rule works. So you just got to take my word for it, right?
Right. I'm not going to show you. Yes. So that's going to do it for this week.
Yes.
So where can people find you?
Blue Sky and Instagram. That's Hivemind, HYVEMYND, where my Instagram is just, those kind of picture tutorials of sci-fi terrain. That's mostly just boxes.
Boxes. Nice.
I don't know, the obligatory sci-fi shipping crate. Right?
Yes. Yeah, of course.
And the way, like I said on the way I said on social media, the way you make anything look sci-fi is just give it some 45-degree detailing.
Right.
And hazard stripes too.
Yes, hazard stripes are good. Right.
But cool. So where can people find you?
All right, so you can check out Abuse Cartoons on YouTube and Twitch, and that's a single-panel gag cartoon that I make called Domestic Abuse, and you can read the full archive of those comics on GoComics, so gocomics.com/domestic abuse, and also check out rcharvey.com if you're interested in cartooning and comics. He's he passed, but a historian that wrote a huge volume, a very prolific writer about the history of cartoons and comics. But if you like what we're doing here on the weekly, consider becoming a weekling.
The strongest of all supporters.
Doing that at patreon.com/upturntable. Let us know what you'd like to see more of on the weekly, what you'd like us to cover. The things are disappearing. The news sources for tabletop are not looking good.
Bring us more news.
Yeah, we're one of the few people that is actually even like any sort of aggregator of this stuff, because it's just starting to disappear. Like
imagine you only getting your news from us.
What a nightmare. Yeah, but you literally have to go to the discords of every single game company and check their new updates, new releases, because there's nobody talking about it. So yikes. But yes, upturntable.com is the main website, and upturntable on all social media. So we will, I think, be doing. We had a character death again last session, but we will be going back to Old School Essentials, the Palace of the Silver Princess tomorrow.
With kind of the brand new player.
Yeah, but the player is at a convention, so he's not sure if he can play from the hotel room or if he will be too drunk and partying with the attendees to even care about this actual play. So we'll find out what Terry's going to do, and otherwise, if everyone's available, we'll continue, because that was Terry's character that just passed.
So that's why players got to skew young, because they got nothing else better to do in the hand, or old because they're past the time of the time they want to go out and party.
Right. So we're looking at under 25 and over 65 for the people that we're interested in. Yeah. Right. So so keep a look on the channel for that, and and they've got some other unboxings. My Trench Crusade book finally came.
Nice.
It's beautiful. They double boxed it, so it's in pristine condition.
All right.
But the cover is not exactly exciting. It's just a plain glossy cover with that standard illustration. The reason I was hoping they do a little bit of spot UV or something a little more deluxe. It was not a cheap book, but it's gorgeous inside and tons of lore. But Trench Crusade is taking a beating on social media, like wargaming social media. So I don't know how many people are pissed off. We're talking about the STL quality of their 3D printing fulfillment company. People were getting like, half printed deformed stuff. And some of the like chambers inside the model still had the
resin, which means just like you can't use them.
Yeah, right? They'll just split open. You don't know in many cases, but eventually they'll just split open. And so it's
appropriate for Trench Crusade. But anyway,
so we'll see.
Please tell me they did it in like red resin, because that would just be Anyway, okay, sorry.
So that's why I think they're moving to HIPS plastic. So all their feature kits, they're going to give up on 3D printing because they made a bad deal. But that's going to do it for this week. We'll be back again next week.
Later, mortals.
Goodbye. So how's everybody doing? Take a look at the chat. Yes, that was really fun. Blackout was a nice system, nice rules light system. All right. Cool. So good to see everybody. Nice. Oh, that's right. Matt's got Star Frontiers. That would be a fun game to play if Matt's getting the fireside chat. Yes, I thought because yeah, Chris mentioned that early on. We would just put a fire right there. It looks really menacing though on the video. I'm very uncomfortable having those flames licking the upper shelf there with my Dune board game. Ah, nice. But yeah, hopefully we can do a session of old school essentials. Yeah, there's a couple of games I hadn't heard of before that I was looking at. I don't know if anyone's heard of Legends. What is it? Legends in the Mist. It's like a 2d6, no abilities, no skills, no stats game. So what is that? A bit like Fate or something. But you basically are doing like these descriptors of your character, and there's one dominant one and then some minor ones, and those affect, roles and how you interact with the world. But there's a couple of cool settings that kind of make nods to that. The design of the book is really nice. They do like a comic book at the beginning to explain kind of how to play, and the art style for that's a little odd, but the book itself looks really beautiful. It did pretty well in crowdfunding. I think it raised like over $1 million. But I hadn't heard of it before. And there was another setting, like a Slavic kind of setting that adapted for it, like 5e, but also this system. So I was surprised about that. And so I took a look at it, and it looks interesting. Yeah, I like what I saw so far. So I bought the PDF, so I'm going to take a look through that, and that might be something to jump into. It's not old school; it's very rules light, but that might be nice for. Well, we'll see. I don't know if it will be great for the group, but very interesting. Interesting rule set. I hadn't seen anything like that before. Very cool. I hadn't seen that. Yeah, that title before, but yeah. So what else is going on? Yeah. So I'm going to paint up for the next time. It's probably going to be about a month before we can do Blackout again, but I definitely want to try out a different faction. I think Boone looks like a lot of fun. They have one of their units that all has jump, and then the other unit that has a lot of like weird specialty stuff. So I can have blocking from data attacks, and also there's a huge mech, which is perfect because the Ariadna had a not a mech, a drone in Blackout, but there was a mech that I can use, or a frame. What do they call them? A tag that I can use in the Ariadna set to proxy. So we'll just try that out. The a couple of those factions that are more like American military focused. The one with, I guess, basically the two forces that come in the set. The original UN one is okay. They've kind of got space helmets, but very just basic kind of Desert Storm looking gear, Gulf War looking gear. And then I think both Boone and the other faction, yeah, they are a bit sci-fi because everything's got helmets, but they're the way that they look is just very like modern military, a little sci-fi version of modern military. Harlow, yeah, both Harlow and Boone. But I liked how Boone played, so I think Ariadna would be a good fit for that because they're kind of modeled after U.S. military in look, except they have werewolves. But I don't have any werewolf miniatures, so we don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I like some of they're probably the skill level is way above me, but some of they've got a criminal gang, the Black Pact in Blackout, and also the Impisi IMPISI force, which are kind of the original peoples of the planet that is getting occupied by these forces from the Earth. So they're more stealth, and all of their weapons they're kind of guerrilla fighters, and all of their weapons are stolen, are stolen from other forces. So scavenged weapons, but they do a lot of they're lightly armored, but are quick and do decoys and stealth. So that might be fun too, but probably beyond beyond my level of skill in the game so far. So it seems like Boone might be a good choice. It's pretty seems pretty flexible and does a little bit of everything. Nice. Oh yeah. So it must be So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know City of Mist. So it must be the City of Mist system. But yeah, Legends. Legends in the Mist. It seemed cool. It seemed so we'll have to try it. It'll be at least something worth Masterpiece Theater Upturned Table. Nice, Galarian. I didn't see that one. We'll have to have corduroy jackets with elbow elbow cup. Smoking a pipe on the next episode. Nice. Yeah. So how was the Abyss had to crash. I tried to keep the volume or the audio a little bit better, a little clear. So we used these microphones when we were playing Blackout, so hopefully you could hear us more clearly. Previously we were using just like a USB mic in the middle in between us, and sometimes that picked up so much room noise that it wasn't it wasn't very good to listen to. Just a very echoey, spacey, very quiet audio. So hopefully that helped. Nice. Yeah, from Son of Oak. Yeah, Clarion. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. So that system looked fun, and I liked it. Yeah, it was presented really well. The books themselves are really nice, and they're so you're rolling d6s, but for the crowdfunder they did d12s with 1 through 6 twice on them. So I like when they do stuff like that. So the dice are a little bit more fun to roll. Just have a different feel to them, but yeah. So and I missed in the chat if Abyss is available tomorrow. But yeah, maybe we'll get back to that, or we'll just get online and talk some nonsense. Because I've got some stuff we can look at together. Nice. Yeah, and we'll see if Terry can get in. Matt said $35 for 4 cards. Yes. Yeah, but it's a secret lair. I mean, there could be a Dwight Schrute in there. A Spider-Man or a Dwight Schrute. Yeah, I don't know how they're presenting that stuff. It's very weird. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. So that the emoji thing, wrench is a shield now. So now you are protectors of the so you're not hitting people with a wrench, you're not adjusting anything, you're just holding a shield. You are the wrench and the shield against the knight. So I guess we'll put a wrench back in there. The next emoji we unlock, we can do our own wrench. That's weird. That kind of stuff, when they make those, some people interpret a wrench as okay. They feel it's too plumbing related, so we're just not comfortable with, I don't want to deal with any plumbing. Oh, 2 questions from Matt had earlier. So does the game have a lot of different mission objectives and campaign play? Does it handle 4 players? Oh, yeah. I haven't seen... You definitely have to do 4x4 for 4 players because you'd be on top of each other. The core rules, I don't think so. There's a lot of expansions though. None of those are free. Like the core rules are free, and there's several expansions. The one new mechanic is it adds a handler, so you get like a single kind of hero character who has abilities, who is like spec'd a different way, like assault or espionage or whatever. Like he has different characteristics that can kind of tune your force to fit different scenarios. There's matched play, I think, for competitive with like kind of points and things. or just more force building where you can take different units, all within your faction, different combinations and synergies. And then there's just take one of the standard forces and 5, I think, a set of 5 scenarios in the core rules, and then there's 3, I think, 3 more expansions that add mechanics to the game, which I think is where Chris found the cover by height rules, different let's see, rules. No, this is this is just a rules glossary. Come on, give me the the store. I need to be in the store. Digital rules. Let's see what all they have. Yeah, they've done the Wetwork expansion, the Badlands expansion, Impact, and Labyrinth. So there's already 4 expansions, and each one of them adds stuff. I think Wetwork is the 5 more scenarios, more backstory on the universe, printed home cards for hostile models. That's right. So, and then also rules for handlers. Yeah. So Wetwork adds hostile models and handlers. So maybe like a monster on the board, like something that's going to be attacking. So you're like, it's the 2 of you. Let's see. There's dusters. Yeah. So Impact adds more duster rules. I don't see 4-player. I think it might be meant because it's a small model count and stuff. I don't think it's a 4. I don't think there's anything 4-player. New scenarios, backstories, new units, rules. Oh, better. They added in Badlands. They added melee combat because the melee combat is really straightforward, and basically that decided our match. That decided who was going to win for the game that Chris and I were playing, because it came down to, if this unit dies, then they don't deny that point. So, we both finished with 1 point each, I think, at the end of it. And then Labyrinth is 10 scenarios, powerful forces, and expanding the lore. But yeah, just game changing. But they don't talk about. This contains the black. And so the latest one adds the Black Pact and the NPC forces. So yeah, those aren't, and those just have one set of like 3 units. So far there's not much expansion, because I think they came from their previous game, because it's supposed to be that their previous game is the same setting. And interesting, this is 2nd edition Blackout, and I guess there were coherency rules in 1st edition, and they just completely got rid of those. So that really opens things up. That changes things a lot when you're activating a unit, and the unit is 2 to 4 models, and they could be anywhere on the map. That's very interesting. Like that opens up a lot of different strategy and kind of location based and different synergies. But I didn't see anything, Matt, yet about 4 players, so I think it's just 1v1 so far. But I don't see why you couldn't, with the current rules, do 2v2, just like, so it could be multiple people playing, but you're just playing 2 sides, because a lot of the scenarios do attacker defender kind of stuff. So you'd need that. You need to have 2 sides. It couldn't be 4. And don't play 3. That's the thing we keep running into with Frostgrave and anything. 3 players just never. It's always unbalanced. It's just like the board will move a certain way, or the deployment goes a certain way. It's like, okay, take them out and totally deny one player, and yeah, so that balance never works. I'm sure there's game systems where it would, but that wouldn't be Frostgrave. And I'm still putting together miniatures for the Rangers of Shadowdeep Trudvang version. So I've got some terrain, and I've got kind of things that would cover all of the different monsters and enemy models in the first few scenarios. So maybe I'll give that a try and try to rewrite the story a little bit and base it in the Trudvang setting. That'll be a challenge, but it'll be fun to do. And I like, it's basically solo Frostgrave is what you're kind of playing. Some of the rules are different, but it's pretty close to that with the D20 rules. Nice. So yeah, that'll be fun. So we'll get back to something here. So tomorrow at this time, we get on and stream something. But yeah, but I would recommend Black Eye. And you can proxy it, very, very easily. They give you all the cards and everything for all their base forces, and so you can see. And I wish they didn't. They don't do, I think, a rating, but people in the Discord and any place that's discussing the game kind of let you know who are the good beginner forces, like who plays, because the one guys that had that blast, that resistance against blast attacks, they were pretty easy to play because you couldn't make huge mistakes with them because they're pretty hard to kill. The Manticore were pretty sturdy forces, and they do have, so it's only a few of the forces that actually have a unit with more than one hit point, so that's fun. And some of the drones or the automated stuff, it's AI or powered, so it can be attacked by data attacks, but they usually have more than one hit point, so they're single model units, but they run pretty hard. But yeah, it's good to see. And I didn't know this company, this game was around as long as it was, because it just recently is starting to get a lot of attention. But it's fun. It's really fun. And less rules look up, because there's only maybe 20 or so like special rules in the whole game, maybe less than that, 12 or so. And so you're not constantly like, what does this do? That's the one thing with Infinity, is you got to play a lot and play a lot of different factions before okay, what does data web regulator do? Like all this like funny stuff, and it's just variations on different bonuses and stuff, but still you always got to check it. Nice. Oh, Matt was saying, yeah, 3's rough. We did a Stargrave, and it was semi-okay. If you have objectives to pick up in this scenario, they get, they set up equitably. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, when it is just, elimination or whatever, yeah, all you got to do is somebody gets to be the odd man out, and you're getting attacked on both sides. Oh yeah, that's right, the shaky cam. Yeah, I had the one little roaming webcam. I thought I was going to be putting it on different parts of the table, but it was on the bouncing arm for a while, so it was very turbulent. Yeah, but the dice were fun. I'm glad I figured it away. I didn't get the keying perfect. I should probably key on green so we could roll red dice. But yeah, some of the edges on the dice weren't great, but it was fun to roll those on the screen. I like that. I like that look of being able to see the dice roll results like very easily and clearly. Until I knocked over the dice tray, and then the camera was off center. I flipped it over, and then it was never quite the same again. All right. Yeah. So we'll get back to that. So Matt, are you thinking Running Star Frontiers might be a thing, or what should we think about for future stuff? I mean, I guess we've got a we've got a whole nother floor of the castle, of the palace, to explore, and it's even more deadly. That's the problem, is this was supposed to be the easy part, and we've lost so many characters, and the second floor is much more deadly. Spoilers. Cool. So yeah, at least we'll have Matt and Abyss for tomorrow, so that should work. And so we'll find out what Terrence is up to. I can't remember. I don't think Terrence was going to the same convention, so it was just Terry that was going to be remote, if he had to be, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, should be good. Cool. So yeah, what else is going on? So yeah, so Trench Crusade came. Oh, I have Astro Prisma came too, the solo cyberpunk game. That'll be fun to look at. There's some fun expansions and stuff. They do a nice presentation, and I'm curious to see how that goes. So I've got a couple of solo things that might be coming up on the channel, and I still want to get I had kind of a false start starting the Trudvang novel, doing the prologue. My voice gave out on me, so I'm not going to use that recording. So I'll try to do another take of that prologue, because the prologue it sets up the novel in a really interesting way. So yeah, we'll do that and see. And yeah, we've got coming up pretty soon. Is it in March? We've got the Dragonbane Trudvang, I think maybe even February. Dragonbane Trudvang crowdfunder. So we'll see like what they're going to offer, how they're going to present it, and what they're going to offer for that campaign. So that should be fun. Get that with a system that should work out well. Nice. Oh, nice. Yeah, so Matt's working on house rules for Star Frontiers. Nice. That'll be good. Yeah, we don't have to play play the brutally original rules. Cool. Yeah, so lots of stuff to yeah, and I haven't even unboxed it for the channel, but yeah, Talislanta is waiting. And what else? There'll be some other stuff coming up. Maybe some quick starts too. I'm sure the quick start for Diablo will be coming up. We'll see what that's all about. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with that. And it might just be because they have the license, they'll do both. But when, just like with Exodus, when the RPG is a afterthought, or it's like just this alternative project, I don't think it's going to be like super playable, super high quality, just like the Dark Souls and that kind of stuff just kind of got thrown together and was unplayable. Character creation did not even work. Very good. Yeah, so I'll check the Discord and we'll make plans for tomorrow. See what we can get up to. Yeah, and hopefully we'll hear from both Terry and Terrence and find out what they're doing. But should be good. I can get all that set up, and yeah, should be good. So what else? Yeah, so the Trench Crusade book will be a nice flip through the great art. Oh yeah, there's a snap election going on this month, so the Conservatives are trying to clench their majority, or have a stronger, I guess, coalition. So been hearing a lot of those political vans with the PA systems on them running up and down the street, and a lot of junk mail in your mailbox with all the local candidates and stuff. Yeah, we'll see how things go. We won't talk Japanese politics, but we'll see how it goes. It's gonna get weird, and I don't know what it's gonna mean for the yen or the economy. Groovy. Oh, nice. Matt's gonna do a house rule, a push mechanic that will cost you stamina. Nice. Oh yeah, that'd be very fun. Really cool. So yeah, I'm trying to think. Should get some other stuff ready so we can have some alternative stuff depending on who's available when. Nice. Oh, and is everybody excited about the Henry Cavill Voltron movie? I guess Amazon has him in some sort of contract because Hasbro made a deal with Amazon MGM Studios to do, whatever, Monopoly and whatever, Parcheesi, whatever they're going to release, Cooties, as game IPs that Hasbro owns, develop different stuff. So yeah, that's depressing though. Hasbro owns Voltron. We're never going to see good Voltron toys then. Yes. I don't know. Your lions can form a giant robot. But they're going to have him busy with between the 40K projects and the Hasbro board game IP projects. He'll be pretty busy. Yeah, but who knows? Yeah, what else is some other stuff? I've got the Marvel multiverse. So I've been going more into the rules because I was curious about not using one of their pre-written scenarios with the pre-gen characters, but doing your own characters and doing a unique thing. And some people have done like Starjammers and what was the other thing? A couple of like the more obscure Marvel superhero groups that seem to that they played okay. So it might be fun to do original heroes. And the funny thing is, you kind of have to agree on a power level. I think it's like a rank. They call it in the system. So yeah, I guess I have to agree. Is this going to be origin story of the hero starting out and then they'll kind of level up? Or if you're using the pre-gen, like existing Marvel characters, basically they don't level up. They're just at the level they are. They've got the powers they have. And so you're not going to play like young Wolverine or anything. You're just going to be where he's at. So the origin story kind of little campaign seems like would be fun to play, but it would also be fun to roll up heroes that are already these, demigods in the setting as well. So I just have to figure out what kind of game the group would go with. But it does seem to have a ridiculous amount of modifiers for stuff. Like there's so many, and especially the high rank characters, they have so many more abilities that give modifiers, like take away a die, add a die, make you roll. They do advantage and disadvantage in the 3d6 rolls, but it's a little different. Like the way you handle it is a little different. So yeah, it could be just cumbersome, but the demi-plane character sheets might handle a lot of that bookkeeping, so we don't have to worry about, you just like click the thing and they have the thing and it's already factored into the roll. So stuff like that would be nice. It seems like it's a lot of fiddly nonsense, which maybe, they wanted to give it a little bit more of an old school flavor, but a little bit more fiddling than I expected expected it to have. Although we've been playing some super rules light stuff, so yeah, but I'm curious with the hero stuff coming out, the outgunned hero stuff, and we've got invincible. So yeah, curious to see what is a good superhero system. Or are we just going to go back to the TSR TSR Marvel Heroes, Marvel Superheroes RPG? Yeah, let's see. Oh, Highlander, there we go. Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right. There were some yeah, Clarion, that's right. There were some some stills of Henry Cavill with a katana. That's right. Yeah, well, he's not getting any younger, so he definitely has to, get all this stuff in there while, after they took Superman away from him. You got to get that stuff in there. That's good. Nice. Oh, right. Yeah, He-Man. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. The He-Man is what killed Canon Pictures, isn't it? Like He-Man was one of their all-in projects where they're like, we're a real movie studio and we don't just release Death Wish movies. We're going to do a epic sci-fi saga. This is our Star Wars. And then they did a Dolph Lundgren He-Man. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Having the Earth thing. Yeah, I think I did watch the trailer. It's like a office worker or something. And it's like, but I've lost my sword, and if I find that sword, then I'm gonna be He-Man. I don't like because like I remember seeing He-Man when it was first out. I was in some weird like big box electronics place, like not only electronics. It was a huge place. It had like, I forget, it was like one of those weird big box early 80s stores before like Best Buy and stuff existed. And they had a huge toy section, and they had a huge wall of that first wave of He-Man figures. And I'd never seen anything like that before, and was already playing D&D, and it was so fantasy, like a weird, fantasy sci-fi blend, and just those like everyone had the same body. Like it's they did a sculpt for Conan basically, and then everybody had that body with just different colored plastic and different color heads and accessories. But the look of that was so like, holy shit, what is this and what is the setting? And I think the comics that were included like were spelled out a more interesting setting. I don't think they had the Orco Prince Idiot and Cringer and all that stuff in there. I think it was just like a fantasy world where these two forces are fighting for dominance, a good versus evil kind of thing. then that Filmation series came out, and I never could really watch it because it was on some weird UHF channel that where we were living didn't ever even come in very well, like moving some rabbit ears to try to get some reception. So I only saw a few of those, and that, Filmation is always shit. It's always been terrible. It's terrible animation, and it makes everything look terrible. And I really was amazed that what they did with that. We're this was already the days where the parent groups and everything had sanitized Saturday morning cartoons. So everyone's, shooting the weapon out of everybody's hands, or they're swinging a sword and they're, just people fall back or whatever. Like there's no contact, like nothing makes contact with anything. So it was already not very fun. And you couldn't do a very cool, like, sword and sorcery kind of thing. But those original toys were so evocative of like, wow, what could this setting be? And like there's all these like weird combinations of characters, and what they ended up doing for a story. It reminds me a little bit of like what they ended up doing with like the Turtles, that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, when that became like a Saturday morning cartoon or an afternoon cartoon. They just like did the weirdest possible take on it, and obviously the focus groups or whatever that were, informing them, well, you've got to do this, or no, where no one's going to differentiate the characters or whatever. So they obviously had to, go in on it. But yeah, those original, and I think that was, the story of that was, it was originally going to be a Conan IP, and they just couldn't make it happen. So they gave him a blonde bob. Said, this definitely isn't Conan. Look, he's got a blonde bob. He's got the Prince Valiant, and then we'll keep the body, that cool body sculpt we did with the fur, the fur boots and the his little outfit. But he's definitely Conan. Like if you just ripped his head off, you could do a kick-ass Conan character. But that's weird. So there isn't anywhere to go if you're starting with that Filmation setting. There isn't anywhere to go with that story that's ever going to be good. It's all going to suck always and forever, because a prince becoming He-Man is not interesting. Yeah, that Shazam kind of thing. Nice. Yeah, that's I think I had that same kind of age gap with my brother too, because I aged out of Transformers and GI Joe, and was definitely earlier 80s. So I was kind of done with stuff. Yeah, kind of like, oh yeah, I guess we'll play GI Joe. It was like 10 or 11. I was already like, this kind of sucks. This is kind of boring. But yeah, so I missed, there was a lot of stuff that, and yeah, by the time like the Ghostbusters cartoon was on and stuff, I was like already like, yeah, that's funny. Oh yeah, I found, I had it fell apart over time, but I had I'm telling like the Dark Knight, the Dungeons and Dragons Warduke. I found in the old storage thing a, on blister Warduke figure from the early 80s of the Dungeons and Dragons, but the glue had already released, so the blister fell off the card, and the blister itself was like dark yellow. It's almost opaque. It's so yellow, but it was so cool to see that, like, a original Warduke figure. So I'll have to reconstruct that and hang that somewhere, because it's such a funny relic. But that was the days when they're trying to figure out what to do with action figures. But I was all in on Micronauts and stuff that, like, didn't have the comics. The comics were inspired by the toys, because the toys were so crazy, because they were just basically a Japanese, trying to a recast or rebranding of Japanese Microman, but which was really cool too, because that was they did a larger, so that's the weird. I was just watching something about this. So when GI Joe, the rights for GI Joe were bought by Japan, they didn't want to do a GI Joe, so they took that mold and did a metallic 12-inch, doll that then they could put, armor and stuff on. So it could be any of these other, like, giant robot kind of anime or hero characters. So, and then they scaled it down once that became a popular format and did the Microman. So they also had all kinds of like customizable stuff. But that whole genre, I forget what it was originally called. It had kind of a weird name, but kind of the Everything Man doll that they made from G.I. Joe. And I'm sure those things cost a fortune now. They're probably, even beat up and loose. They're probably hundreds of dollars in Japan. But they did a 12-inch metallic dude, like a totally like naked G.I. Joe, like a Silver Surfer, basically G.I. Joe. But yeah, very cool. Oh yeah, and Shogun Warriors too. Yeah. Those were crazy. I have the best memory of those because it was like I think it was around a Christmas time, and then the couple that were like the closest friends of the family, they didn't have any kids yet, and they had tons of money, and so they just came over with these giant Christmas presents, and we're like, okay, what is this? And we opened Raideen and Mazinga, the two those giant Shogun Warriors, and I think they were already television commercials, and they were ridiculously expensive. A lot of those 80s toys were ridiculously expensive, but those things were so cool. Like that, yeah. You just hold those things around. It's kind of like the My Size Barbie or whatever. It was just like this ridiculously out of proportion action figure. And we didn't, that was a time where you didn't even know who these characters were. The animation or whatever was not even localized to the US. So these were just like random super robots, and I think that's why they made the brand so generically. It was just Shogun Warriors. But they even did a Godzilla. They did like a kind of a weird, he almost looked like the 60s Godzilla, but kind of angry. So it was a very weird sculpt of Godzilla, but he had a tongue that came out that had fire on it, and of course a hand that shot off, because that was the mechanic of all those things. But yeah, those things were cool, but they were just like these weird relics of anime culture in Japan that we were getting. It's like, okay, I don't know what the hell this is. And I guess Transformers is kind of that same thing, and they just made it its own thing. And even Power Rangers made a completely original story just based on that. But yeah, those things were very cool for the time. Yeah, very cool. Oh wow. Oh, Dino Riders. Oh yeah. Yeah. Arturo come in with the Dino Riders. Yeah, that was another one of those odd things that I think was a Japan import. Yeah, good stuff. Baldur's Gate series on HBO. Wow, Arturo, crazy. Yeah, that Castle Grayskull playset was awesome, especially because the scale of those He-Man dolls, or the dolls toys, were big. Wow. So the guy doing Chernobyl, Last of Us, is doing Baldur's Gate on HBO. That could be awesome if they give it a decent budget. That's the crazy thing, though, is I think House of the Dragon learned that they run out of money fast when you got to put a fucking dragon in every other scene on your show. And that seems to be the problem that all the HBO shows have had, because didn't they cut Rome's run long because it was too expensive? So HBO is way too budget sensitive. It'd be better if it was like Apple or Amazon, where they just throw stupid money, or Disney, where they throw stupid money at shows so they look amazing. They just are written for crap and casted poorly. But yeah, HBO does good stuff, but they're super budget conscious, so that might be weird. Craig Mazin, yeah, that's crazy. Hangover 2 and Scary Movie 3. Hollywood legend. Wow, weird. Yeah, that's really weird. So I wonder how influenced they're going to be by the tone and of Baldur's Gate 3. I wonder if that's the tone they're going to go for, or if it's just going to be more generic fantasy. Yeah, interesting. Wow. Oh well, they're showing. Oh yeah, that's right. This is just Deadline, but yeah, they're showing Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, weird. That'll be weird if that's the because isn't there supposed to be, was that what they were talking about? No, there was supposed to be some Forgotten Realms show or something that Amazon was talking about. Yeah, that's weird. Who knows? They're spreading that license around, and basically, for newer people, Baldur's Gate is the only recognizable IP right now for Wizards. Yeah, weird. Well, we'll see how that goes. Yeah. That's a shame that happened. Yeah. Yeah. What was it? And the show that killed it was something stupid. It was like Sex in the City or something. Killed it because they're like, well, we need the money for this. What was that? Yeah, I can't remember. But there's a funny story about like, oh, Rome is expensive, and look, this show's doing well. Let's just give it this budget. Oh yeah, maybe Netflix had Forgotten Rome. Yeah, that's right, Matt. Yeah, not Amazon, Netflix. Which will soon be Paramount, or no, not Paramount. Warner Brothers, HBO. Oh, that's right. That'll be Netflix. Yeah, that's right. If HBO does a Baldur's Gate, it's going to be Netflix anyhow. Maybe. Yeah, who knows? I talk about a Forgotten Realms show. Be on Paramount and the Whispers of Truth. No. Yeah, that's gonna be hard. I think they should stay away from Drow. That's gonna get everybody all funky. The Drow have gotten so pale in their lifespan. And actually, from what I remember of the, I don't know if, I think those were the early Dritz books. They're a little sexy, right? They get a little bit of, because it's, the Underdark and the Drow are a little bit funky. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, but who knows? Everything's shifting around so much that what HBO was is not what they are now. But if they get Netflix money, who knows? Yeah, should be should be interesting. Yeah, I think we really missed our chance. Like we had so many bummer projects like Wheel of Time and the Rings of Power. So many bummer fantasy projects that I don't have any hope that anybody knows how to do that, because it seems like every fantasy setting has to have this weird feminist bent, and it's cast really strange. They don't want to, like, yeah. And I think it's also to weird economies, like depending on where they're filming it, they're going to get a lot of, like in the UK, there's going to be a lot of Indian, the South Asian actors, and in Australia, there's just going to be based on local draw, just like when they did when Cameron did Aliens, that they ended up with trying to find the American actors that were working in the UK. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I don't have a lot of hope. But that was the thing. The Night of the Seven Kingdoms has been fun, and people have been making comparisons. It's like, come on, they actually did armor. They're doing armor for the knights, and it looks really good on camera. And look at that weird, like, heated foam, like, onesie that that they were wearing on Rings of Power. Yeah, so stupid. Oh, that's right. And the drow are good. They're peaceful. They make pastries. I mean, have you ever had the drowish pastry? Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. We never asked. Yeah, Matt. We never asked Terry about because they were talking about watching Starfleet Academy. I never heard Terry's take on what they did with Star Trek High School, whatever the hell that is. Yeah, that's right. The most recent take on the drow is, come on, nobody's born evil. You just vote evil, right? Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if someone's gonna kind of hit. And I think that's the thing is everything. All the fantasy shows, more recent fantasy shows, were under the shadow of Game of Thrones, and so every company is like, "Do you remember how big that show was?" Because it was like by like fourth or fifth season, it was like huge. It was the normies. It had totally penetrated like kind of water cooler normie world, and people were watching that show. It's never going to happen again, and but I think that's the weird expectation of fantasy. It's we want our Game of Thrones, the next Game of Thrones. That can never happen again. It's impossible. So we'll see. Yeah, Terry is very forgiving on New Trek. Oh yeah, yeah, that's too bad. Yeah, we'll see what happens. And I think that's I wonder what is the fate of Star Trek right now, because I don't know if they want to spend any more money on that IP for a while. Oh yeah, Apple's gonna do they're doing like a Cosmere show or something. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, because I've been watching, because I kind of ignored it. I watched the first season during the pandemic of Foundation. I was like, I don't think I finished the first season. Actually, I think I made it to like episode 9. I'm like, okay, whatever. But then I went back and rewatched it when I re-upped for Pluribus, and watched the first 3 seasons. And there's some neat set pieces and stuff. It's not the books, and it's like changes up a lot of stuff. But the interesting thing, when I was listening to somebody do an essay about Asimov, the interesting thing that they talked about is he'll like his rules of robotics, or like he'll set up something, and then the expectation is people will figure out a way to change it. Like it will change human nature, and human history will change things. So you set up, you do your best guess, you do your you clone your emperor, whatever you're going to do. And sure, this will work, right? This is the way to make this immortal. This is a way to make this work. And then, just human nature and things change it. So I was much more forgiving, like with that in my head, watching this Foundation. This is just like a new take on Asimov and a new take on some of these concepts, because they fucked around with characters and stuff really severely in the show. So it doesn't really resemble the original books, but there's some fun stuff in there. So yeah, it was okay to go back through, but I don't know where they're going now though, because they've it's it's an interesting place now. I hope they're not changing themselves into a painted corner. Wow, Sanderson was given a crazy contract by Apple. Arturo says basically full creative control. That's insane. I hope he doesn't. Well, he's so prolific. I mean, he just like, takes a coffee break and has a novella. But he, if that takes him away from teaching, and it kind of, that George R.R. Martin thing happens where he gets so involved in the television production and stuff, he stops producing books, and stories don't get finished, and the TV projects get ahead of his books and stuff. That would suck. But this should be interesting to see, because he seems he's got an interesting, like, I watched a speech he did on AI and stuff, and he's got a good sense of stuff. I don't know if his content is that interesting, like his world building and stuff is as good as some other fantasy or sci-fi writers out there, but his thinking is very interesting. I liked because basically his speech about against AI was basically saying, AI is focused on product. So when you're making something, if you're asking an AI to write a story or make an image, its intention is to produce something for a market, to produce something that is a commodity that's sold, and that's all that it really knows. It's not, there's no expression, there's no expression behind it. And so its intent is so completely different from how a writer or an artist approaches work in kind of their thinking and their skill level, and whatever the stage they're at in their career, that's something that AI is never going to do. It's always going to be creating, content. It's always going to be a beast, and it will have, will be standing on the shoulders of giants, basically, stealing off the shoulders of giants, taking everything that's gone before, but it's not going to ever advance it. It's just going to, recombine it in strange and upsetting and probably pretty sterile ways. Yeah, but his take was that's the fault of it, is it's never part of a creative process, and never can be. And his interesting take is that art is not the thing, it's not the goal, it's actually just your receipt. Like the story you write or the pictures you make are just the receipts for your development as an artist. Like the artist is the process. The artist is, like, he's always talking about journey over destination. So the artist's development and where they're going, and where they're able to, what they're able to how they're able to refine or sophisticate their work, that's the art. Like the person doing it is actually the artistic process, and then the things that they make are just the receipts or kind of goal signposts, that are set along the way. And AI that's not even a possibility. So AI will be used to, we're going to have a whole ugly ugly level of advertising and stuff, just like very functional graphics and text are going to be all AI very soon. But it's just done. Oh yeah, what was Red Letter Media was talking about that. Yeah, that they and it's only because, so it's funny because I don't know about Europe, but America cares about that very much. And that was always an obstacle with animation. So when they dubbed Hong Kong films, that's always the joke of making your mouth not match the audio. So when they dubbed Hong Kong films, they didn't care about that. They would just do cheap and dirty dubs of things. So people's mouths are still moving and they finish talking, or they're talking and their mouth isn't moving. But there's a weird sensitivity to that. I don't know if it's America or where it is, but I definitely know it exists in the US. So you have to that's why anime is voiced so weird, is because they'll people will have an expectation of the mouth is going to be moving when you're talking, and Japanese anime doesn't care about that. It's open, close, open, close, open, close. Basically, now I'm talking open, close. There's no mouth shapes or anything, unless you're like, yelling or screaming, or they've got some like, some sort of emotion that your mouth is expressing. It's just open, close, open, close, open, close. So of course it will never match the Japanese. The length of words and phrasing and rhythm of Japanese is totally different from English. So the voice actors dubbing anime are watching the anime, and they're talking in a really weird rhythm, because they and that's why. So I think people interpret that as like racial, or like, people are, it's like that's an Asian way of speaking or whatever, but they're just trying to match lip sync on a very simplified, like open, close, open, close, open, close piece of animation. So of course they would try to, just like Ted Turner colorizing black and white movies. Of course, wait, AI could make the lips match the English dub of a French movie. So yeah, Red Letter Media was showing that off. That's just upsetting. And it's going to look so, the older it gets, the worse it's going to get. Like, from this day forward, it's only going to get more horrifying. And hopefully it doesn't become like the only version, like the special editions of Star Wars. It's going to become the only version that's accessible in English, are those weird AI dubs. That would be crazy. Yeah, that's so weird. That was a weird thing. I didn't even know that people had the thought to do that, because and I guess it must not be that expensive once they have that program, or once that, once they've gotten an AI to be able to do that, then just applying it. Just like there were a lot of complaints that James Cameron, for the upscales, the Ultra HD upscales of True Lies and Aliens and some of his like 80s stuff, he just let AI do it. So there's weird, like, people smoking cigarettes and their like nose is like doing this in front of their face, because the AI can't. Is that the nose? Is that the line of the nose, or is that smoke. What is smoke? You didn't tell me what smoke is. So there's a lot of like weird eyes, like it's mostly like background characters that are a little bit out of focus. The AI upscale like just lets their features get a little liquid and weird. So this laziness, and that's it. That's the Ultra HD version of Aliens is going to have all that weird crap in it, all those weird like AI artifacts. Yeah, you're right. Well, the only dubs that I watch, my favorite dubs are American, like One Piece. It's only when they do this. The One Piece Netflix show, the Ghost in the Shell with Scarlett Johansson, and there was one more when they do live action Hollywood takes of anime, but in Japan they dub them with the anime voice actor's voice. That's the best. That's the best because it sounds like it sounds correct. It sounds like the anime, but it's the Hollywood version. So yeah, it was fun. I definitely enjoyed One Piece a lot more than I would have because they dubbed it with the voice actors of the the original Japanese voice actors for the Japanese dub. Yeah, that makes it extra weird. That was really strange with Ghost in the Shell. I can't believe they were able to get the original voice actors to go through and recreate their roles, but their voice coming out of Scarlett Johansson's mouth. Yeah, but oh my god, I've been rambling. Sorry, not a lot of tabletop, a lot of pop culture talk. Sorry, but yeah, it's weird. I think Game of Thrones really fucked up the whole next couple of decades of fantasy stuff. Hopefully, they can figure out how to do that differently. And I'm surprised the rating or whatever the rating collectors like Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic and stuff. Those aren't aggregators, those are compilers, whatever, there's a term for that. Where they have that combined score. The viewer reviews of Night of the Seven Kingdoms Night of the Seven Kingdoms is very low, which is weird because it's definitely the best Game of Thrones we've had since the first like 4 seasons. But maybe just because it's light, people are like, where's the bare breasts? Where's the decapitations? Maybe people don't like the lighter tone, which is weird. I guess that brand has a certain expectation, which House of the Dragon is trying to do, but they can't do it anymore. It's just stupid. Tabletop is pop culture now, my friends. Yeah, that's true. It has entered the oh yeah, Matt, yeah, that's right. Sorry, Matt, you sent me that I looked at the website for that board, the tablet. It's like a tabletop tablet that's supposed to be like an electronic board game, and there was I think wargamer.com talked about yeah, that would work well as the the in-person VTT app for doing dungeon crawls and grids and stuff for D&D. It looked a bit small, like it looks like it's like a 32 or maybe less, like 28-inch tablet, but it has programmable pieces that the touch sensors can identify and stuff. So yeah, a couple of companies are screwing around with that, but I don't think anybody's nailed it. And you just have to kind of standardize it too. It has to be like a very like every company has to know how to develop stuff for it, or else it's not gonna take off. If there are all these little niche things that need a special license and developer kit and stuff, then no one's going to develop for it. But yeah, that board system. Yeah, one of the websites was talking about this would be D&D, perfect. And people are already doing like because there are like kind of very primitive touchscreen things you can do. If you lay down an old TV, an old HD TV or 4K TV, there are like rigs that you can do that are just like breaking light beams, that can detect placement and stuff. So a PC connected to an old TV can do a lot of stuff. I mean, I think there's probably a lot of open source software that people have worked on doing stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's a big enough audience. If you can't sell those like super expensive, teak wood, walnut, gaming tables anymore, then I don't know if you can sell an expensive touchscreen to gaming groups. And they only need to buy one. Yeah, so we shall see. But yeah, so a little bit light. The news was a little bit light this week. There was no huge developments. I was surprised. I'm just getting frustrated with how much scouring you have to do to keep up with stuff. And still, I've missed. There's been some crowdfunders that we haven't talked about that looked pretty awesome. So it's hard to keep up on everything, because there's a lot of trash. There's just a ton of third-party 5e stuff. So when you're looking at tabletop RPG stuff, you just have to kind of, get the Magic the Gathering and the Warhammer and the D&D 5e out of the way to even see what's going on. So not fun. So it must be hard. It must be hard for small press, smaller indie developers to get the word out unless they've built up a huge MCDM type fan base. But all right, so yeah, we will do something tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be tearing apart that palace of the Silver Princess tomorrow, and please join us then. We'll get online and do something. But thanks for joining me, and thank you so much to the patrons and members for supporting the channel. And yeah, we've had some new. When I was looking up the emoji stuff, there's been a bunch of new. Where are they? Members in the members on the YouTube. So Chibi Peach and Zakoste and Henry WS now. Thanks so much. That was just a few months ago. And Ferret Nuclear. So yeah, so maybe the maybe over the because that lines up with December, so maybe all that Trudvang got some people wanting to hear some more audiobooks. So thank you everybody that's become a member on YouTube, and we'll do this again next week. So thanks a lot, and see you tomorrow for some more Old School Essentials. Goodbye.